Welcome back, Reavers. In this video series, we will discuss some of the basic rules and mechanics of this TTRPG and how they may be applied to our final project. Topics that I will demonstrate include combat actions with melee, ranged, magic, and psychic abilities, and some exploration moves that include doors, traps, locks, and a whole lot more. We're going to check in backstage with our first band of Fearless Reavers, but first, let's take a look at this totally sick intro. That was totally rad. Okay. Before we get into the adventure, let's take a look at the stat blocks for our starting lineup and see what they're bringing to the table. First up is Mace Havoc, our fighter class character. He's bringing a club that grants +1 to striking and deals 1d6 damage, and a shield that grants +1 to blocking actions. He also has a potion of minor healing that will restore 2 hit points. Next up is Tycho Vega, our rogue class character. He's bringing a set of burglary tools that grants advantage with doors, traps, locks, and other things. And he has a concealed dagger that grants +1 to striking action and deals 1d6 damage. He also carries a potion of minor speed that will temporarily boost his movement from 7 to 9. Rounding out the top 3 lineup is our mage class character, Riker Grimm. He's bringing a wizard staff that grants +1 to striking and deals 1d6 damage. And he has access to 2 metaphysical abilities. One is a magic spell called Shield that temporarily protects him from physical harm for 2d6 minutes. And he has Pyrokinesis, a psychic ability that allows him to cast fireballs for 2d6 damage. He also brings a small med kit that will allow him to recover 3 health points. With the starting lineup out of the way, I just want to take a moment and say a couple of things. 1, before your project gets started, you're going to have a copy of the most current version of the rules, character sheet, stat blocks, creature information, story information, and map details before you ever write one line of code. So don't worry about trying to memorize particulars from these videos. You're going to have that information before the project starts. And number 2, the reason being, as this game progresses, there may be some things that don't work out very smoothly, and we might need to change the mechanics, and that's totally fine. I cobbled this game together from several different TTRPG sources, and this will be the first playthrough. So, things that don't flow very well or are not streamlined enough for what we're doing, we'll make those changes, and I will update the rule set prior to giving you this assignment. So keep those 2 things in mind, and good luck on this adventure. Now, grab a handful of dice and let's roll. Hearing a rumor about a hidden stash of loot, food, and weapons, our hero Mace Havoc has made his way through the ruins of what was known as Kenny Hall. On the first floor, in the northeast corner, he finds himself in the stairwell. Rumor has it that behind the stair and under the landing is a hidden door. Very difficult to detect and even more difficult to get open. Fortunately for our hero, he knows the secret and makes his way inside. On the other side of the door, our hero finds what appears to be hand-carved stairs descending into the darkness. With much caution, our hero descends into the depths that lead him to the caverns under Kenny Hall. Okay, very cool. Very cool. We have made our way down the hand-carved stairs to the first chamber. So for reference, I have thrown the map up on the screen. I didn't include the stairs on here because it's not relevant to the gameplay mechanics. So we will start here at this first chamber. Oh, I'm going to kind of back up a hair so we can get a better look at what Mace is seen in this first chamber. Now, I could, I suppose, jump right into some exploration stuff and take a look at what might be in the room. Is there any clues or treasure or anything of value? I could do that. Well, for one, we're here to look for a hidden loot stash of weapons and food. So it's probably not going to be in the first chamber. That just doesn't seem very likely. And second, when I pull up Mace's character sheet, since his personality trait is impulsive, Mace is not going to waste too much time rifling through the bones of unfortunate adventurers. He can see that there are several piles in the room, but there's nothing else of really any significance. And faced with only one other door by which to leave this chamber, that's what he's going to do. He's going to make his way into the next chamber to see what lies beyond. For the sake of better viewing, I have dialed up the brightness in the caverns so we can make out a few more details in our surroundings. Knowing that Mace is impulsive, he is not going to waste any time in this cavern. He's going to move into the next chamber and continue the search for the loot stash. So, moving into the next chamber. Does he find loot stash here? No! What he does find is our first enemy combatant, which is a mutant doggo. So let me reposition the camera so we can get a better view of what's going on. Okay, so I have repositioned the camera, and before we jump into anything, let's take a moment to determine who goes first, because this is obviously going to be a combat situation. We need to roll for initiative. I'll put the rule up on the screen. We have to roll a 1d20. We add nothing to it. We compare that roll with the DC. If we meet or beat the DC, we go first. Otherwise, doggo goes first. Let's do that now. Let me get them back out of the way. Get a hold of my handy dandy math rock, and let's give it a whirl. Oof, 6. That means that the creature goes first. So what does that mean exactly? Creature goes first. What are creature moves? Well, I'm going to bring up his stat block and we'll take a look at that. First off, let's go to the main entry. Mutant dogs have 6 HP, a speed of 7, and a basic bite attack. There is some flavor text here that is great for the story, but not relevant to the demonstration of mechanics. What I will do is scroll back up to the top to a quick reference matrix so I can see everything in one place. Creatures have 2 action points that they get to spend on their turn, and it follows the logic of this matrix. They will always move toward the nearest player that's within range of them, or within sight, or within earshot. For example, if we're fiddling with a door or something around a corner and we're failing rolls and making a bunch of noise, the creature would be alerted and start moving in that direction. Once they are within range, They will attempt to attack the character with the highest level or XP. Since Mace Havoc is the only character in this scenario, he's going to come at me. So we're going to make the move. And since the dog has a movement of 7, I'm going to get the measuring stick out. And let's measure off and see if he can make it to Mace in 1 action point. Doggo can get to right here, but he's going to have to spend his second action point to finish closing the distance, which means he won't have any actions left, and then it'll be my turn. So let's go ahead and reposition Doggo, and I will move the camera around and get ready for Mace's turn.
Hello, puppers. Come on over and help yourself to a bit of me club sandwich.
I honestly don't know why Mace has that accent. It was the first thing that popped into my head. So there you have it. Mace sounds like,
he sounds like that now. That's the way it's going to be now for the rest of the series, I'm afraid.
Okay, so I have repositioned the camera. I've got rules and character sheet back up there. So let's take a look at 2 action points for Mace Havoc. So it's Mace's turn. Since Doggo is running full speed at Mace, he's going to do what he does, and he is going to strike. He's going to take a striking action. So when you attempt to strike a target, you roll 1d20 and you add your physical stat. So in the case of Mace Havoc, his physical stat is +3, so not so bad. In addition, he gets a +1 to striking actions with his club. So this is going to be a 1d20 +4. So let me move this out of the way. 1d20 +4. I've got a d20 die. Let's give it a spin. So 4 + 4 is 8. I wind up for a big swing and completely missed the Doggo. Doggo is not going to stand there and let me crack him across the head without putting up a fight. So I just wasted 1 action point, but I got 1 more. So let me try again. So swing number 2. Whew, 8 + 4 is 12. That is a hit. So Doggo moved around a little bit, and I missed him on the first one, but I got him on the second one. So we do 1d6 damage. Let me bring up a 1d6 die. Let's see how much damage we do to Doggo on the second swing. 3 points. Outstanding. So bringing up Doggo's sheet, I'll get the quick action, the quick reference. They only have 4 HP, so he is down to 1. Down to 1 on his turn. And, okay, that's the end of my 2 actions. Now it's back to the dog's turn. As creatures do not have roles of their own, the player makes roles for everything. That is what is meant by the term player facing. So, as this creature carries out the logic in its attack matrix, I will roll to defend myself. The way I do that is with the blocking action. When I attempt to defend against a threat, I roll 1d20 and I add the mental stat and compare the results to this description. In addition to the +1 from mental, I also have +1 from the shield I'm carrying. So this is a 1d20 +2 in an attempt to block against the mutant dog's bite attack. So let's give it a rip. 14 + 2 is 16. That's well over the DC of 12. So Doggo tries to bite me, and I get the shield up in the way and stop him from getting a piece of me. But he has a second action point, and he is going to repeat the same attack 1 more time. 8 plus 2 is 10. So in that instance, I try to get the shield up into his face, and he comes down low and gives me a bite on the leg. So not good for me. We will deduct 1 point, which I have here. And now it is Mace's turn. So this dog is hanging on by a thread. I've already hit him for 3 points of damage. He's got 1 remaining. I am going to make a strike against the target, so I will roll 1d20 plus my physical plus my club, so it's 1d20 plus 4. Let's go. 8 plus 4 is 12. That is a hit. So, regardless of what I roll on this die, that is a fatal strike. So let's see how much damage we do. Yikes, where did that go? 2 points of damage, and with that, this doggo is dead. Huzzah! Well done.
How you like the taste of me club sandwich now, you filthy beastie?
Having successfully removed the mutant dog from this chamber, Mace Havoc will limp his way down to the far end and make his way ever deeper into the caverns under Kenny Hall. That will conclude this portion of the tutorial. In the next video, we will cover exploration moves related to traps, doors, and locks. Until then, sails up.